Hi all, welcome to another Seasons in Garden video. Sorry about the lightning, but the sun is shining and I cannot get the light to be well enough, so hopefully I did it this time, because I already recorded this video 2 times. This is the 3rd time, so 3rd time's the charm. So, I was inspired to make this video and to actually make the entire series by a comment that I got on the cherry laurel propagation video, which in short was, are you mad to be propagating such an extremely invasive plant? And it got me thinking, because where I grew up in Balkans, this plant is considered a native plant and it doesn't have a status of an extremely invasive plant. It's the same here where I'm at. It's not a native plant, but it is not considered an extremely invasive plant, unlike, for instance, in the USA Northwest, or I think also UK and Ireland. So my question is, what should we as gardeners do? Should we disregard any plant that is considered extremely invasive in any part of the world, even if it's native in our part of the world, and only plant the plants that have no invasive species status, which, if you ask me, is barely impossible? I don't think that there is any plant that will be considered not invasive in the whole of the world. But yeah, if you ask me, I go by the area where I'm at. So, for instance, here, where I'm currently living, cherry laurels don't have an invasive species status. You can plant them, you can propagate them. They are one of the most used plants for hedges and even in parks. They are very versatile, they are shade tolerant, they are sun tolerant, and a very good gardening plant. But for certain areas in the world, they are considered invasive species and should not be grown there. Now, this is my rule of thumb. I check where I'm at, I see if I can use the plant or not, and then I use it. On the other hand, for instance, we have a very big issue here in Europe with Japanese knotweed, which here is, even in this country, is an extremely invasive species. We cannot control it due to the way that it grows. But, as the name says, it's a Japanese knotweed. In its native Japan, it has diseases and pests that control it and is considered yet another plant to use in your garden. So, where I would never ever personally use a Japanese knotweed unless I relocate myself into the Japan. Someone who is in Japan might. The same may be true even for the bamboos. Unless you're planting a Fargesia type of bamboo, you are not careful enough, you will get your yard overrun by bamboo. Because it's what it does. It spreads with rhizomes and it's very hard to stop. Very similar to Japanese knotweed. Yeah. When it comes to me, I know that due to me producing a content that is propagation of the plants, I'm bound to get more comments like this. Are you mad you're propagating an extremely invasive species? There's no way to omit those comments. And, bear in mind that if I'm propagating something, I have made sure that it's not invasive in my part of the world. We as gardeners need to make sure that what we are propagating is not registered, because you don't want to have legal issues due to propagating something that's somebody else's property, and B, is not invasive in our area. If those two conditions are are true, for that particular plant, I have no issues in propagating them. But let me know your thoughts, because I would be very interested to know if you would completely disregard the plants that are considered extremely invasive in one part of the world, even though they might be native for yours, or whether you're like me and you would sort of check what is true for your country, for your area where you're at, and then decide whether or not you would like to use these plants. So thank you very much for watching. I know this is a lot of talk, and I hope to have a bit more content in which we just talk and discuss and talk about different gardening topics. I thought about calling this series Through the Grapevine, like heard it through the grapevine, but I would also like to get your inputs on how we should call our gardening discussions. So thank you very much for spending time with me. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.